All right, well, that says that we're live, and I believe that we are probably good to go. So I'll let this be our short intro. And as soon as I see the screen change, we will begin to chat. All right, we are live. Thank you for joining us this afternoon if you are viewing with us. My name is Jim Bachman. I am the Communications Director with the Brewers Association of Maryland. Sorry about that. I am joined today with Brewery Fire. That's why I got a little tongue twisted. I've got Jesse and Dave here with me. You'll see both of them shortly. In the meantime, I just wanted to thank you for joining us this lovely Friday afternoon for a great talk about Maryland beer. We're going on, I think this is the third week of self-isolation and quarantining or something like that. It feels like it's been forever, and it feels like it's been like a day all at the same time. So if you did not know already, Maryland breweries are considered essential businesses. They are still open for business, and they are relying on your support in this very unprecedented period. Please get out if you have the opportunity when you're going grocery shopping or to your pharmacist and swing by your favorite local brewery, pick up some beer from them. Most breweries throughout the state are offering curbside pickup, carry out from their tasting room, and many breweries are even offering some delivery services. We'll hear about the options that you have from Brewery Fire shortly, and we're going to run through some great beers from them. So without much more coming from me, I'd like to apologize for the 15-minute delay getting started. Apparently, the hamster needed to run a little bit faster, and we're ready to rock and roll. So, Dave, Jesse, thank you very much for joining. As you talk about your beers, I'm going to throw the descriptions in the comments for people watching. Shoot us some questions in the comments. These guys are awesome. They're going to have a lot of fun answering them for you, and we're looking forward to it. So, tell us about Brewery Fire and introduce us to your beers.
Yeah. Happy to. Thanks for having us, Jim. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to all the fine folks on the internet. I'm sure everyone could use a little break from the routine and a chance to hear about some delicious beer. So hopefully we can do that. Yeah. Well, like you mentioned, we're going to be running down a few of our beers. Jesse and I each have a flight in front of us. Jesse has to highlight our awesome flight paddle that is modeled after Link's sword from The Legend of Zelda. So, yeah. If you haven't met us before, Jesse and I are gigantic dorks, and our tap room and everything we do kind of reflects that. So you'll probably painfully acknowledge that as this goes on. But yeah. So our first beer today is the aptly named Start Now. It is our red ale with a small amount of peated malt. And it is named from the email we got from the comptroller's office letting us know we were allowed to brew. So we'd kind of been bothering Lou over at the state comptroller's office about, hey, when can we start? When can we start? And in typical Lou fashion, we got a 2-word email back that said, "Start now." So yeah, we did, and we named a beer after that.
Yeah, we pretty much designed the beer around the name because I think we were actually on our way to Cushwa. It was gonna be our calm before the storm getaway, and we met up Kendrick, Christian.
Well, we were at Old Mother on our way to Cushwa.
Oh, that's right,
because we were there with Zach from 1623, and just kind of making a small beer tour of our day.
Fermata 1, I think, when that came out.
Yeah, I think that might have been for Fermata 1.
But so I sent Lou Berman an email, and like he sent it back and to Start Now. So we were driving, we're like, what kind of beer can we make? So we thought, Irish Red with a little bit of peated malt, which is a little smoky and a little raspy.
Yeah, it seemed to fit. Anyone who's met Lou, I think, would agree it's a befitting beer for Lou. Yeah. So that's what we're drinking.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the tasting notes right now, and I'll throw those in the comments for people.
Yeah, so this was a beer that we had at our launch date, and when we started, we really didn't know what the community in Tawny Town wanted to drink.
Yeah.
So we threw a little bit of everything out there, and it got a really good response. And so whenever you come to Brewery Fire, we'll always have something new on tap for the most part. But with enough begging from our patrons, we will bring other things back. So this is the second time we've made that here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, like Jesse said, we tend to rotate quite a bit. for those of you who haven't met us or come out, we're a 3-barrel brewery and tasting room. We've got 11 taps, 9 of which we keep dedicated for beer. The other 2, we've got hard seltzer and a hard cider. And we tend to rotate 8 of the 9 beers on tap. And then our flagship IPA, which we'll get to in this flight eventually, is the only beer that we always have on tap. Everything else we tend to rotate. Keep experimenting, keep having fun. It's one of the most fun things about being a 3-barrel brewery is that we can just keep trying new stuff and having a lot of fun doing it.
Just to keep you guys aware, we've got some friends in the comments section right now.
Oh, cool.
Christian with Frank About Beer. What's up, buddy? Good to see you.
Hey, what's up, Christian?
And I just saw Stephen Perez's name slide by here. So we've got some representation from some other great Maryland breweries and breweries in planning here in our comments. Again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to shoot some our way. Looks like you've got a couple of fans in here already. Alan says you guys are a great staff and a great brewery.
Oh.
And Dan says great beer. So keep up the good work.
Hey, thanks, everyone.
So what's the ABV on that start now? I don't know that I heard that.
Low 5s. I think it's 5.3, somewhere around there.
And what technical specifications do you guys tend to advertise when people come in on your tasting menu? Do you have IBUs and ABV and all that listed, or are you just listing on generic ABV?
Part, we might skip out on IBUs on like a really low IBU beer, like a wheat beer, or we definitely make sure to note it on any IPAs or anything with high IBUs. But if it's lower IBU, we might not always advertise just because it's going to be so low you probably won't even detect it.
All of our beer names typically have a story, so we try to put a sentence or 2 of a story behind the name, and then people seem to have descriptors of the flavor, so they know what they're getting into, and we can guide them a little bit. You could say.
Well, having the story right there is really cool. You get that opportunity to give people the background of the beer. So I've always appreciated that. I have a background from a brewery, and I used to write these long stories for the beers on the bottles, and we put those onto the coasters, and people would constantly pick the coaster up and say, oh man, it's great to hear the story of this beer, like why it's there and why it's that. So I liked hearing how you guys have an homage for this tale of this wonderful beer.
Yeah.
No, every beer has a story.
Yeah. Some of them more tragic than others, but I don't.
So you guys are in Tawnytown. What made you pick Carroll County? Are you from there originally?
Yeah, we're both Carroll County guys, and when we were looking, the Carroll County zoning was going through a comprehensive reform, but brewing was only allowed in like the smallest, most industrial districts of the county, and it's a pretty rural county. So you could only open on county land in like the same kind of place where you would do like heavy manufacturing or like a junkyard or something like
out by the airport.
Right. Actually, not the Carroll County Airport. Well, we couldn't.
Across the street.
Across the street, you could, but not on the same side of the street. But so we realized from our process that the municipalities had their own zoning codes that superseded the county codes. So we started looking at the city of Westminster, the city of Sykesville, city of Mount Airy, city of Tawnytown. Just reading pages upon pages of nosebleed-inducing ordinances and codes, and I think I lost childhood memories and replaced them with maps and codes. But
I'm part of your liver.
Yeah, but it's all right. It'll grow back, right? So yeah, Tawnytown was probably our 3rd or 4th choice. We initially were looking in the Sykesville area. But Sykesville didn't really have a lot of available real estate. Then we looked at Westminster. Westminster didn't have a lot of available water. Mount Airy had some real estate, but the biggest things for rent were like 1,200 square feet or something ludicrously small that we didn't feel comfortable opening a brewery and tap room in. So we had met some Tawnytown people in the course of being part of the Carroll County Biz Challenge a couple years ago. And they're like, hey, why don't you come talk to us? We're interested, we're excited. So we met up with them, looked at a couple properties, and it was just a perfect fit. We wound up being in a little 2,500 square foot addition to a bowling alley. So we're physically touching a bowling alley, which is a pretty cool place to be. They've got great food, so we don't have to worry about a kitchen. You can just get carry out from them. Tons of parking. right on the intersection of a couple main roads. So it was absolutely perfect for us. And yeah, we've been open about 6 months, and yeah, loving it.
Is that a 10-pin bowling alley or a duck pin bowling alley?
It's both.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Bowling center.
Oh, bowling center. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
We've learned it's a center, not an alley.
The alley has negative connotations.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah. We call them bowling houses where I'm from. So
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize there were PC terms for bowling centers, but hey, there are.
Not a bar word tap room.
This
So.
is true.
activity centers.
Yeah.
All right. So we're joined by a couple people from the BAM staff also. Both Kevin and Kelly are in.
Oh, hey.
Saying hello. And Kelly has a good question. When you guys are approaching your styles of beer, are you changing the recipes up for the same style? So will you have 3 or 4 different beers that might fall into a red ale category? Or are you just going to come up with a whole new beer and new style when that one kicks?
Sometimes. No, typically, I mean, one thing Dave and I have had to learn, we've kind of trying to get ourselves out of the home brewer mindset. So over the past 6 months, we've made some changes to our brewing styles, and we don't use crystal malts anymore. We use we use chocolate malt to get our color for the red ale, things like that. So we've had to kind of evolve around, I guess, a more professional way of doing things.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
And I mean, we do have a couple, we have a core pale ale recipe that we've brewed 3 times with 3 different hops. That was our episode 1 doesn't count, episode 2 doesn't count, and episode 3 doesn't count. Our trilogy of beers bashing the Star Wars prequels. Yeah, so for that, we have, really good grain bill that we're happy with, and we just mix up the hops. But we also have other pale ale core recipes that we'll, rotate in, rotate out. But yeah, sometimes we'll just go the easy route and change out some hops. Other times we'll build from the ground up.
Yeah, I mean, if we do a stylistically, so if we do an American pale, follow those guidelines. English.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Sarah Healy from Milkhouse Brewing and our president of BAM just showed up and said hello. So
hey, Sarah.
All right. What's the next beer up, guys?
This is That Log Had a Child, our dry Irish stout.
All right. So what's up with that name?
So there's a YouTube channel called Bad Lip Reading, and they have I don't even know what the song's called.
Stop It Now?
Stop It Now. It's like I guess Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, it's all Yoda and Luke on Dagobah, and they just lip synced the footage to a song they created. And there was a particularly funny line that Jesse and I both love, where Yoda says, "I was walking and I saw a log and I rolled it over, and underneath it there was a tiny stick, and I thought, that log had a child." And we were like, "Oh, that's too good of a line. We have to name a beer after that." So yeah.
And back when we first met the guys from 1623, it was the first time I ever had a dry Irish stout, and I fell in love with the beer, and I told Zach that one day I'm gonna make one that good, and so we thought it was a fitting name for the style of beer, and we made one.
Yeah. And we were going to release it for our St. Patrick's Day extravaganza, but, well, now you can get it in growlers.
Yeah.
I went ahead and threw the link to that Bad Lip Reading song.
Sweet. Nice. Good call. Yeah, we love
just in case they want to be in on the joke.
Oh, it's going to be in my head for a week. Anytime I say it, it's like, there. I'll be humming it.
It's definitely my favorite thing is when you're in the tap room and someone comes in and they'll read the names, and you can see it clicks and people just start laughing.
Oh yeah.
And so we get joy out of that.
Yeah. Some of our references are pretty easy to pick up, and some of them are real deep cuts. And when people get the deep cuts, they really like it. So
Greg Parnas, a great friend of Maryland Beer, would like to know if you are planning to release a beer that clearly shows Han shot first.
Ooh. That's not a debatable point. He did.
The contemplation is just beautiful. I like seeing this. You're both lost in thought.
Yes. We will. I just got got to figure out what style would best suit that. But yes, absolutely.
We could do like an ancient like Mesopotamian beer.
Find the oldest beer recipe. Yeah, it's shot first. Yeah, I like that. Yes, we'll do it.
Good approach. Can't wait to try it.
Yeah. Challenge accepted, Greg. Thank you.
What's everybody else drinking?
Yeah, let's do a roll call. What do you have in your glasses in the comments section?
No lying. We know you don't have other half.
It's okay. You can admit it. You're drinking White Claw. We know it.
I like the memes that are saying that the hard seltzers are what started.
Oh, that's so great. It was all everything was fine until y'all started drinking seltzer beers.
All right. What's next on your lineup?
The flagship.
Yeah, Executor IPA.
Yeah. So this one, it's the Executor. It's named after Darth Vader's Super Star Destroyer. It's his flagship. So it seemed fitting that our flagship beer would be named after his flagship. It's the first recipe that Jesse and I designed together. We both came into this partnership with several years of homebrewing, had a bunch of stuff we both already made that we both already liked, but we're like, well, we're going to have to learn how to make beer together. So we decided to go with a West Coast IPA. It's a style we both love. We still remember when IPAs were bitter. So we like having a West Coast IPA just as much as a New England. And we decided to make it our flagship. It's a single hop Simcoe, lots of late hop additions, lots of dry hopping. Yeah.
7.75% alcohol. Very approachable.
Yeah, we've won over non-IPA drinkers with this one because it's kind of right down the middle on maltiness and hoppiness. So it's going to please a IPA drinker, but not scare away a non-IPA drinker.
The beer roll call in the comments has yielded a Trogs Perpetual IPA, Red Bear's 51st State. We've got a local lager, and Christian is still at work, so he has to wait 45 minutes. But he has several Maryland beers waiting for him.
Okay, good.
Well, we may have a can of something stored away for him if he's super nice to us.
Yeah. We'll see.
Step up the love there, Christian.
He might have to meet us somewhere in his vicinity to partake.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll socially distance. We'll drink in a parking lot 6 feet apart from one another. I didn't say that.
So I brought this up last week during the talk that we had when I was speaking with True Respite and Full Tilt. And I, too, am a fan of IPAs that have bitterness and express pine and earth and all these great notes that you get from hops. I love all the fruity, hoppy beers that are out there, but there's something about that American traditional IPA that was born on the West Coast that's really intriguing and is pleasing to my palate. So I really appreciate seeing breweries still using it. So I'm glad that that's your flagship and it's in your lineup.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we both, I think, kind of fell in love with West Coast early in our beer journeys. And, much as we love the New England ones, I mean, getting, a nice Racer 5 or Plenty.
Perpetual is one of my
Perpetual's great.
First loves of IPAs. I mean,
yeah, there's some really great resinous, piney, earthy, hoppy beers out there, and we shouldn't forget them. I mean, I love New England IPAs. I absolutely adore them, but my first love is the West Coast IPA for sure. Yeah.
So what are you guys doing for filtration?
Time.
Yeah, cold crashing.
Just letting it cold crash and fall out?
Yep.
Very
We
cool.
start using
a little bit of biofine.
fun.
Yeah, once in a while. If it really needs to be clear.
Baby steps
For lagers and stuff, but for the most part, we don't filter because,
Yeah, I mean, at a 3-barrel brew house, you don't have a ton of space or volume to push through big filters.
Yeah, we got to turn stuff over.
We are constantly, well, not now, but we're typically pumping it out. So usually a couple of days being super cold.
Well, maybe that's something that we can all look forward to as a positive thing on the outcome of this whole thing. All the beer out there will be brilliant and clear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Everything sitting in brights forever is going to look gorgeous. Hooray!
Dan Flynn in the comments just gave me a perfect segue because I had been bugging Dave about this in our emails, but he said that his next beer up is the Brewery Fire Made of Fire.
Oh,
So,
hey Dan, what's
tell me
going
a
on?
little bit about this collaboration, man.
We know Dan Flynn.
Yeah,
he's
he
a sucker.
he picked up his 4-pack the other day. Yeah, so we've got our awesome collab, our first canned beer, the Made of Fire, with our buddies Steven and Lucas at Homemade, and of course us at Brewery Fire. I don't know if any of that's visible on that camera, but yeah, we no, thank you. We gosh, when did we brew this? A while ago.
January,
Yeah,
maybe. First of all, we want to give Marcus over at Cushwa credit, because when we were at the second band festival we did in Frederick before we opened, he introduced us to Steven.
That's right. Yeah, we went up being next to Cushwa at Carroll Creek, and he was like, "Hey, you guys got to check out Steven from Homemade." He was, further down the creek from us. And we went over and said, "Hey," and we were like, "Oh, we love this guy."
Yeah.
So, and we already had our building. We already had a bunch of applications in. We were in construction, and Steven was where we were maybe a year and a half, 2 years before that. So we were like, hey, let's tell him our journey and help him out any way we can and get to know one another. And he made phenomenal beer. He still makes phenomenal beer, and that was evident at Love Thy Beer when they got the trophy, which was awesome to see. Yeah, so we just instantly felt simpatico with Steven, and then when he teamed up with Lucas was a great fit, and the four of us brewed this crazy beer together, which you probably know more about than I do, since I think you and Steven did most of the design work on it.
Yeah, so it's a very traditional Abbey ale. Then we aged it in a rum barrel from Miscellaneous Distillery in Mount Airy, and we definitely wanted to do some fruit since it was gonna be around springtime. So we decided on peaches, and that was kind of it. I mean, we were gonna add some other spices, but if you know Steven or had his beer, he is notorious for Belgian yeast. So we knew that the Belgian yeast would give us all the spice characters we needed, and it did.
Yeah,
and
it's a killer.
It's
delicious.
Beer.
It's
smooth.
Yeah, it's a dangerous beer. I'm glad we have it in 16-ounce cans instead of crowlers right now, because I can't imagine cracking one of those and drinking it 32 ounces in one sitting. That'd be pretty brutal.
It's like 12%.
And it's dangerous because it doesn't taste 12%.
And is the beer still available?
No.
Yeah, that was the sad part that we wanted to wait on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this awesome collaboration went quick.
We were, anticipating spring to be a very busy season.
Yeah, a very different animal.
And Steven's actually brewed it with me a few times here, and he knows our system pretty well. And we thought about doing a 3-barrel batch. But we're like, we got to get this stuff ready so when busy season hits, we're ready to roll.
Yeah.
And so we had the 1-barrel rum barrel set aside, and we'll just use that.
Yeah.
So
we thought that would be plenty, and then it's like, oh wait, now there's a no tap room, everything's different. So yeah, we do have another exciting collab coming up though, with another Maryland brewery in planning, with Nikki from Ten Eyck Brewing Company out on the Eastern Shore. We talked a lot while we were both in planning phases. I think they entered the planning phase around the same time as we did. But since they're building new construction, their process was a little longer than ours, which, God, I mean, I thought our process was forever, but anyone who took longer than us, God help them. So yeah, we'd been talking about trying to find a way to collab since before either one of us opened. And then once we were open and in a good rhythm, we just started firing back and forth with Nikki and pitching ideas. And we came up with the idea of doing a Russian Imperial Stout. So we wanted to do an Eastern Shore ingredient and a Western Maryland ingredient. So Nikki brought some roasted coffee beans from Rise Up out on the Eastern Shore. And then we had some rum barrel staves from Miscellaneous out here in Carroll County. So we're like, well, we'll do some rum barrel, we'll do some coffee. And that will be probably the second or third beer to go through our new canning line, which we're expecting in the next few weeks. So we'll be switching up from growlers and crowlers to 4-packs. Because you gotta roll with the punches and adapt as the world changes around you. So
That's awesome. So are you doing all of your barrel aging with Staven Fermenter?
No.
Okay.
We got a bunch of barrels. We have gone through all of them. So we're talking to Sagamore. We're talking to Old Westminster Winery. We're going to reach back out to Miscellaneous. But so far we've aged in Patapsco distillery barrels and in Miscellaneous distillery barrels and done a couple with staves. But for the most part, we've tried to stay in barrel. But for the much larger batches, it's just a little cost prohibitive to.
Well, sometimes,
throw it into a barrel.
not everybody loves a barrel-aged beer.
Yeah.
But if you want that hint, it's very easy to get out of a stave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly an appropriate application. I was just curious if it was a space constraint or something like that.
No, it's more just on the, what we get our hands on kind of thing. We're reaching out now to try to get a couple barrels because we have a saison going, and we want to do a Brett saison in a barrel. So we're going to transfer it into the barrel, add Brett, and let it sit for a year or so.
And you're going to age that at the bowling center, right? So no cross contamination.
Exactly. Yeah. Wheel it out to the bowling center. Or just build a clean room around it. I think everyone will have experience on how to do that now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, a buddy of mine in the comments, Ryan Leonard, says he's still sitting on a crowler of the Wind Waker.
Oh. Yeah, he works over at Monoxy, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Annette Navarro wants to give you guys a shout out. Very happy that the collab with Homemade sold out.
Cool. Hey, Annette.
So there you go.
Good, more of it.
Yeah, me too. I have one can of my own in my own fridge, and that's it.
Yeah, I had to split mine with my wife last night, which she loved it, and I'm glad I got to share it with her. But if you can't get drunk off one of your own beers,
that's a tragedy. My wife doesn't drink, so that'll be all for me.
All right. What's the fifth beer you're showing, but the fourth beer available to consumers?
So this is Tammy 2. This is our Belgian double. It's named for one of two of Ron Swanson's ex-wives named Tammy. We came out of the gate with Tammy 1, a Belgian pale, so it only seemed appropriate since Tammy 2 was the brunette and Tammy 1 was the blonde, that Tammy 2 would be a darker beer, so we did a double. And yeah, we've had a really surprisingly strong response to our Belgians here. We really weren't expecting that.
Belgians and Browns.
Yeah, Belgians and Browns are killing it here for some reason. So yeah, we rolled this out, and you get a lot of your typical Belgian flavors, your stone fruits, your dark fruits, your spicy esters from the yeast. It's a nice drinkable beer, but it's got a lot of character to it.
Yeah, 6.5%.
That's quaffable. I like that. Usually you'd end up a little bit higher ABV with a double and sometimes a little less approachable for, a longer session of drinking. So that's nice.
Yeah. Well, we do have a quad on right now as well. So
yeah.
We've got that
6.5%.
Yeah, no, that one comes in a nice 12%, and that one took a while. We had to baby that one. So
it's funny. The thing we've had to learn is, I think when we were brewing at the house, Dave and I love big beers.
Yeah.
We love dark, heavy stouts, and we like IPAs that will rip your face off. And so our biggest learning curve is how do we make a flavor-forward beer that's sessionable?
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of thinking on how to make a 6.5% beer. I mean, Let All Got Child was 4.7.
Yeah.
But to get a full flavored beer, that's not gonna.
We want everyone who leaves this place to get where they're going, alive, intact, and not in any trouble. So, making sure we only have one or two heavy hitters on, and we do all of our pours by ABV. So, obviously like a 12%er, you're going to get in like a 10-ounce glass, that sort of thing. So, we try to be responsible with how much we're giving people. But yeah, we love the big beers, but like Jesse said, we've had to learn how to make really flavor forward 5%ers, 6%ers, just because, it makes more sense.
Well, and when you're open to the public and they're able to sit at your tasting room bar and talk to you and enjoy your beers, you want them to be able to have more than one
Right.
Yes.
Where the conversation goes south real fast.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
Greg just asked a question. I think you may have answered it earlier, but he was asking, are you only packaging in 32 and 64 ounce formats right now? We saw the 16 ounce can of the.
We'll be doing the 16 ounce 4-packs once the canning line arrives, but I don't have a hard date on that yet. We're in the manufacturer's queue to get it out to us, but I'm sure like everyone else, adjusting with the times, they probably got an uptick in orders for people that are like, well, crap, I got the can now. So, we're very grateful that we're able to switch gears. It's just going to take how long it takes.
So what's your model going to look like? Do you plan to start doing some self-distribution locally once you have that canning line, or is this just going to be for carryout?
We're going to focus on carryout and see how it goes.
Okay.
And then hopefully life gets back to normal pretty soon, and we'll be able to look at self-distribution. But right now, I would love to see the 4-packs as beer to go here and delivery.
Awesome.
Because our problem is, we're so small. Yeah. Even once we reopen, we'll do stuff in cans still, but we got to get some bigger tanks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's no surprise to anyone in the industry that wholesale, you need to move a lot of liquid to get your money. And when you're doing 3 barrels of beer at a time, any keg that gets sent out to a restaurant or case that goes to a liquor store, you've lost money. You're marketing. You're not making a buck on that. So your margins are in the tap room until you can grow.
And for us also, we go through beer pretty quick, and for us to can some and have some in the tap room is just.
Yeah, we'd probably have to add a brew day to the week, and maybe get another tank or two.
Good problems to have.
Oh yeah, good problems.
Yeah, especially when you're looking at being in the business for 6 months and you're planning on how to expand. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's we thought we'd be barking up this particular tree in another 1.5 to 2 years, but when it's expand or die, well, expand.
Yeah,
there you go.
Just like every other brewery that's starting in the state, the industry is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Till the day Dave and I die, we will thank George over at Pub Dog, the guys over at Cushwa, Keith at Old Mother, Attaboy. So many people just like that paved the way before us, made our lives much easier. And, we've tried to do the same with breweries that are starting up. We're like, hey, here's our business plan.
Right. What do you need to make yourself successful, and how can we help? That's kind of how we were treated by the industry, and that's how we intend to treat anyone behind us, because, it's we're all in this together. It's definitely a community. And we want to see everyone who was open before this craziness, we want to see them open after it.
Well, there is a huge sense of almost like a familial responsibility in this industry that I think may be lost on some of the folks looking at us from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
The consumers see us having a great time at our festivals and events and things like that, but they may not understand just quite how much of a close relationship brewers have and the business owners behind the breweries.
Oh yeah, there's probably not a day in the week that goes by that we're not talking to one of the brewers or owners we know in the industry, checking in on one another, seeing if there's anything we have they need. They're seeing if there's anything they have we need. We are all absolutely taking care of each other, and it's an awesome way to do business. And I think it's part of why the customer community loves it so much, is that you're not going to walk into a brewery and hear an owner talking crap about another brewery. You're going to hear them talking about how much they love those guys. And
all the time we'll get here people saying, "Oh, aren't you worried about that flood zone down the street?" We're like, "Oh no, we love Keith. He's a great guy." And
and if he does well, we'll do well, because we're 12 minutes apart. So people will go to both.
That's it. All right, so I haven't asked this question to anybody else that we've done this with, but we have a few more minutes to kill, so I figure I'll give you guys a shot. Aside from your beers, what beer will you be drinking this weekend?
Well,
does whiskey count? Is whiskey beer?
It's a grain product, right?
We're so far away from everybody else that it's kind of, we try to only drink Maryland beer.
So you'll be drinking Maryland beer with the Brewery Fire logos on the cans. Love
I
it.
need that.
Yeah. I mean,
It's possible.
usually like I go to Pub Dog every week to hang out with George for a bit, and he gives me a couple growlers to go.
Yeah, we've probably stopped in on 1623 every week or so since they opened, but with things being how they are, I don't feel comfortable popping in on another brewery if I'm not there for business. And
Understand that.
What we need to change is to have liquor stores store everybody's beer in a refrigerator.
Yeah, preach.
Rather than room temperature.
Yeah, not all of us pasteurize.
I'll see great beer out there, and I'm like, I want to buy that, but it's not cold.
Yeah.
So you guys gotta get on that somehow.
I have had that argument for the last 10 years of my life with wholesale and retail reps, and it's like, man,
it's never happening.
No, and
it's too much cost.
Sure, but there is pasteurized beer that's in the cooler that could sit on the
on the shelf. Yeah,
it could sit on the sidewalk and be fine.
This is true.
All right. Well, do you guys have any information for folks to follow you, keep up with what you're doing? You want to share like social media stuff and how people can get your beer in the next couple of weeks while we go through all this craziness?
Absolutely. So breweryfire.com, facebook.com/breweryfire, instagram.com/breweryfire. You can order online. There's a link on our Facebook and our webpage, but the online store is only open half an hour before we open until half an hour before we close, and then it's just a dead link. But yeah, you can order through that. You can call in at 410-680-6005. We'll take your order down. Happy to meet you outside with it. If you want delivery, that's an option as well. Call in, whatever. Message us on Facebook. We're pretty responsive. Yeah, any way that we can help you guys out there get our beer, we're happy to bend over backwards at this point. So
next week we'll have probably one of our fastest moving beers so far.
Gosh, yeah.
Called the Mangalorean. We call it a no Coast IPA. It's crystal clear but super juicy. A little bit of lactose, tons of dry hop, and tons of mango. 6% crushable, and it flew last time we had it out. We have a fresh batch. It'll be out probably next Thursday.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
Mangalorean?
Mangalorean. This is the way.
You guys are...
I wish we could take credit for it. It was one of our regular customers. And he was like, if you're having a beer with mango in it, you need to call it Mangalorean. And I was like, I'm taking credit for that, and you get a free crowler.
Of course he didn't get it because
he didn't get it
staff charged him for
our
it.
staff charged him. He came in while we weren't here.
Sorry, Brian.
Yeah, we owe you a beer. We know it. So how about double or nothing this time? We'll give you 2 crowlers for that. Sorry, buddy.
And what is your phone number again? I caught the 410. I didn't catch the rest.
680-6005.
Hey, you finally know it. Awesome.
All right. I just threw that in a comment with the link to your website and the phone number for people to get a hold of you and order some beer.
Okay,
gentlemen, have a safe weekend. Keep everybody in the brewery safe. And thank you for joining us. For everybody who's watching, thank you for taking about an hour out of your day to listen in, hear what's going on at Brewery Fire, and thank you for your ongoing support of Maryland beer. Please remember that these trying times are tough on all of these small local businesses. And if you have the opportunity to support Maryland beer, we ask that you do. Not only are you supporting the small local business that's making this great beer, but you're often supporting small farms, family farms that are here in Maryland, and the whole supply chain down the line who are employing your neighbors, your friends, and are serving your community. So thanks a lot. If you have questions about what we're doing for the industry, visit marylandbeer.org, and we'll see you next week.